And joining us now is Dr. Sara Place, NCBA's Senior Director of Sustainable Beef Production Research. Sara, that story we just heard is part of a new Beef Checkoff funded initiative. What can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So that was actually an example of one of 4 different videos that we shot around the country, looking at what producers are actually doing in the real world that relates back to sustainability. So this is actually building off of a research project that we've had going on over the course of the last few years, looking at regional production systems around the United States, because we know one size fits all does not work for beef sustainability. It's one of the strengths of our industry is the diversity of production. So we just want to put a human face to that and actually have that authentic story coming from producers and specifics and tangible aspects of sustainability really come out.
So specifically, how will these stories and these videos be used?
Yeah, so actually all of the videos will be housed on our research website, which is beefresearch.org. And in terms of how they'll be used, they're kind of meant for a few different audiences. We have 2 different length versions of all the videos. So our shorter version of the videos, which are about 90 seconds to a minute, those will be great tools that we can use on social media where appropriate when we need to get that message out. And then the longer videos have lots of different options of how they can be used. So they can be used for supply chain partners to kind of give them an idea of what regional production systems look like in the United States. And some of those influencer audiences that we interact with both at the national and the state level from a standpoint of what state beef councils do. So dietitians or bloggers, et cetera, people that have questions about beef sustainability, or if they're, say, in a state in the East Coast, they may not know or understand what happens in the Western United States. So this gives them a visual actually of what is taking place.
That's outstanding. And so tell us this, I mean, when it comes to this effort, why is it important to actually have producers being the ones telling the beef sustainability story?
Yeah, great question. So it's actually, of course, first and foremost, it's their story, right? That's why it's so important to have them as the spokespeople and really talking about what they do. I sometimes think that word sustainability, it's kind of got a bit of a buzzword feel around it. But what we hope to convey with these videos is to show that what sustainability is what producers are doing right now, every day, right? What they do. Best management practices. How can they take better care of their land, their animals, be good members of their community? That's what sustainability is about. So having that producer face, we know from research that is really what connects with people. So that's why it's so important. Producers are the leaders in telling that story.
You mentioned research. I mean, why is it so important to maintain the focus on sustainability research, both for NCBA and the Beef Checkoff itself?
Absolutely. So of course, everything that we do is based in science, right? We have to have that strong science foundation. And so that's why it's so important to continue that research program. It's actually a very young field of science. It's in flux and changing all the while. So being as up to date as possible and making sure that we have science to benchmark the continuous progress that the industry is making. Again, coming back to what producers are doing, the latest technologies that they're adopting. We need to make sure that we're always capturing that to show the sustainability progress that this industry is making.
So in reference to that, I mean, what success have you had so far in getting this research into the hands of people that can actually use it and share it with consumers?
Yeah, great question. So again, we have multiple audiences for this type of research. So consumer audiences, general consumer audiences. We have had some success with amplifying some of these type of stories, similar stories and videos on social media. But also looking at going out to state cattlemen's meetings or myself and others actually interacting with those bloggers, dietitians, again, those influencer audiences that I mentioned earlier that can really help change hearts and minds actually when we do those type of events and talk to them about what sustainability is for the beef industry.
I think there are some producers who ask the question, is this just a fad? Will this pass? What would you say in terms of why you believe sustainability is so important to the future of our industry?
Absolutely. So I think we can look at that from a few different angles. One is from the consumer trends and what we see in the media all the while. It's a continuous story that's out there, right? Sustainability. Unfortunately, there's some negative connotations with beef when it comes to sustainability, and so that's why it's so important for us to be active in the space to counteract some of those misconceptions and frankly just misinformation that gets perpetuated out there. It's also important from a standpoint of just why are we concerned about sustainability in the first place? We have a growing world population, right? We're going to have 2050 population of over 9 billion people, increased demand for protein, and so we only have a certain amount of agricultural land that we can use. And really, at the heart of it, that's what sustainability is about.
Okay.
How can we nourish people in a way that keeps us going in the future?
That's great. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your perspective on this. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Be sure to check out beefresearch.org for the latest updates on the sustainability efforts NCBA is undertaking as a contractor to the Beef Checkoff.